Right, so here we have a little sample question, right? And the question shows us a table that says, look, the marks students got on a test, right? And we here in the first column we have the marks with the class intervals, with the ranges. So for the first one, we understand it that, look, students can get either 10 marks, 11 marks, 12 marks, 13 marks, or 14 marks, right? The second one, we interpret it as students can either get 15 marks, 16 marks, 17, 18, or 19. All of those scores fall inside of this range. And this is not a minus sign, right? It's a sign that shows a range. So like from 15 to 19, all those numbers inside of that form the total marks that students could get, right? In our second column, we have our frequency. So it's telling us how much students or how many students got scores that fall inside of this range. So for example, frequency is 3 at the first one. So it's saying that there are 3 students whose score fall in this range. So for example, it could be one person get 10, the next person get 14, and one next person get 12. It could be that one person get 11, the next person get 13, and the next person get 12. Or it could mean that all 3 of them get 13. It's just telling us that 3 persons got scores that fall in this range. Great. Same thing, 4 persons got scores that fall in this range from 15 to 19. Great. So now remember from class that we're calculating the cumulative frequency, and we said that the cumulative frequency is a running total. So it's like your previous frequency plus your current frequency. Let's look at it. So for this first row, our cumulative frequency is 3 because our current frequency at this row is 3 and there was no previous frequency. The previous frequency would have been 0. So 0 plus 3 will give me the 3 that is here. At the second row now, my cumulative frequency would be the previous frequency. Right, let me write it down. The previous frequency, which was, or the previous cumulative frequency, which was 3, plus the current frequency, which is 4. So 3 plus 4 going to give me 7. So 7 should go inside of this box. Now, your turn. Try this one. Remember now, the cumulative frequency is your current frequency plus your previous cumulative frequency, or your previous cumulative frequency plus your current frequency. So our previous cumulative frequency would have been 7, and I'm adding to that the current frequency of 6. So 7 plus 6 will give me the cumulative frequency for here. 7 plus 6 is 13. So 13 must go inside of this box. And if you add it up, watch what happen. 3 plus 4 are 7. 7 plus 6 are 13. So basically we're adding, coming down, and putting the total here. Watch it for this one. 3 plus 4 are 7. And then you have the 3 coming across like that. So another trick that CXC have in their box or up their sleeves, they like to leave out this one, right? Or a couple of the frequency for you to figure out what is what. But if you look at it, I have the next cumulative frequency, right? And it's 18. So I have to think about what number, when I add it to 13, will give me 18. Compound my finger them. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 5. So what must come over the frequency side over here is 5. And when I check it out, it's 13 plus a 5 going to give me 18. Great. Now the last step is to put in my total cumulative frequency, which is the previous cumulative frequency plus the current frequency. 18 plus the 2 going to give me the 20. So the 20 must come right in here. So, and if you add it up and check it, the total frequency must be equal to your final cumulative frequency. It can't be bigger and it can't be smaller. And if you want to use the previous method and check it up, go ahead. 3 plus 4, 7. 7 plus 6, 13. 13 plus 5, 18. See the 18 there? 18 plus 2, 20. 20. We're good. Now remember, when we're doing cumulative frequency algorithm, your AFI, I'm going to say AFI, your AFI use the cumulative frequency, because think about it, the thing's a cumulative frequency algorithm. So you have to use the cumulative frequency, and you have to use the boundaries. There are no boundaries inside of here, so where they're going to come from? Well, you just have to calculate them. Alright, so remember from class we said that the boundary is like the fence. The fence will separate you and your neighbor. So think of this class as you and think of this as your neighbor. So you have to find out what number really separates this class from this class. And it must be halfway between the two of you. Because your fence is literally halfway between the two of you and you share the same fence. You just share the left side and me share the right side. So what will happen now? Well, look at the upper limits. The 14 and the 15. Right? I add them and divide it by 2. I look at this. 19 and the 20. I add them, divide it. So I'm adding the upper and the lower limits like so. The 24 and the 25 and divide the answer by 2. The 29 and the 30, I add it and divide it by 2. Alright, so remember when we're calculating the boundaries, the upper limit for the first class or the class on top plus the lower limit of the second class, you add them, divide it by 2. So look what we're going now. So my calculator here, 14 plus 15 equal 29, and I'm dividing 29 by 2, press my equal button, 14.5. So I'm just drop my 14.5 right here, so 14.5, there we go. Second class now, in 19 plus the 20, see it upon my calculator, 19 plus 20 equal 39, and then we're going to divide that by 2. See, 19.5. Just I'm going to drop that right up here, so 19.5. Come again, 24 and the 25. And then what am I going to do with it? Divide it by 2. 24 plus 25 equal 49. Dividing it by 2, I get 24.5. Drop that right here, so if you notice, what's happening is that I'm adding 0.5 to all of the upper boundaries, upper classes here. So 14 and 14.5, 19 and 19.5, 24 and 24.5. So if I'm going to follow the pattern, when I say 29 here, so what would the boundary be? If you say 29.5, then you're correct. There you go. Following the pattern, I say 34, what the boundary going to be? If you say 34.5, then you're correct. And that's just how you calculate your boundaries. Now remember we said that when we're doing the cumulative frequency algorithm, we have to use two things, the cumulative frequency and the boundaries. So all of these are my boundaries. 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 You get the point, right? So all of these 0.5 things going right down is my boundary, and all of my cumulative frequency is my cumulative frequency. So to plot the graph, what I'm going to do to help me is write out my x and my y coordinates, right? So remember on our graph, the boundaries go on the x-axis and the cumulative frequency go on the y-axis. So the first point that I would have to plot on my graph would be 14.5 for the x and 3 for the y, my cumulative frequency. Second one that I would plot for my x would be boundary 19.5 and cumulative frequency 7. You do the next one and tell me what you get. Me I watch you now. So if you got the 24.5 for your x and your 13 for your y, then you're good. 24.5, and my 13 for my y. Next one is going to be 29.5 and the 18. You do the last one now. What you get for the last one? Nice. So if you get the 34.5 and the 20, then you're good. You're good. So now it's time for us to plot it on our graph.